Wait a minute. Before we start gathering our ingredients, let's take a quick detour to the outside world. Our camera just caught a rather amusing sight. Our very own Ms. Belle Pum, yes, the same genius who helped us with the mock papers, seems to be having a bit of a wardrobe malfunction. She's running down the street, pants down, and... oh dear, what's that smell? It appears she's had a bit of a cooking disaster herself. Maybe she could use our recipe today, but don't worry folks, we're not here to make fun of anyone. We all have our less than perfect moments in the kitchen. So, let's get back inside and make sure our Sandcastle Biscoff cake doesn't meet the same fate. Back to the kitchen, everyone. Ever wondered how to make a Sandcastle Biscoff cake with a sugar red flag? Today, we're turning that dream into reality with a cake that's as delightful to look at as it is to eat. This whimsical creation calls for plain flour, caster sugar, unsalted butter, eggs, whole milk, and of course the star of the show, Biscoff spread. To bring our Sandcastle to life, we'll be using crushed digestive and Biscoff biscuits. So, are you ready to bring the beach to your kitchen? Let's dive right into it. Before we move on to the baking, we'd like to take a moment to address something a little unusual that happened recently. You may have noticed the storm Eowyn that swept through Friday morning. This storm, which unexpectedly rolled in and brought with it a whirlwind of force and precipitation, wasn't just your ordinary tempest. It seemed to appear out of nowhere, barreling down on the town with a power and ferocity that had the townspeople huddled indoors and peeking out their windows in awe and trepidation. Now you may be wondering why we're bringing this up. Why in the middle of a cooking show are we delving into meteorological events? Well, it's because we have a somewhat shocking admission to make. We, the crew behind the scenes at the D. Bell and Jane Fitzcostelia Company, have discovered that we may have inadvertently had a hand in the creation of that storm. Yes, it's as extraordinary as it sounds. The cause of that storm was in fact a result of an incident here at the D. Bell and Jane Fitzcostelia Company. This is no ordinary admission, and we understand if it's difficult to comprehend. We too are still grappling with the reality of our role in this unexpected weather phenomenon. The story begins with our very own Miss Belle Pum. Known for her cheerful energy and penchant for trying new things, Miss Pum found herself experimenting with a peculiar concoction of magical beans and a substance known colloquially as fart powder. It was a combination that seemed innocent enough, but its consequences proved to be far more significant than anyone could have anticipated. In a moment of gastronomic misjudgment, Miss Pum consumed the mixture, and the result was a wind so powerful and potent that it whipped up the storm Eowyn. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill flatulence, but a gale-force gust that swept across the city, causing the storm that you, our dear viewers, undoubtedly witnessed. We understand that this revelation may be difficult to comprehend, and we sincerely apologise for any inconvenience caused by Miss Belle Pum's error. It was never our intention to disrupt the peaceful tranquility of our city, and we assure you that measures have been taken to ensure that such an event does not occur again. In light of this event, we've since implemented a strict beans and fart powder consumption policy within the confines of our company. We've instituted a ban on these magical beans and fart powder, ensuring that all our staff are aware of the potential consequences of indulging in such a volatile mix. Our hope is to prevent any future meteorological disruptions and to ensure the safety and comfort of our team and the public. We understand that this isn't the type of news you'd expect to hear during a baking show, but we believe in being transparent with our viewers. We're committed to owning up to our mistakes and ensuring that we learn from them. We hope that you can forgive us for this unusual interruption to your regular programming and continue to the baking tips and recipes we're eager to share. So, with that said, we're eager to return to the kitchen and get back to what we do best. Now, back to our regularly scheduled baking. Before we dive into the batter preparation, let's address an unfortunate mishap that occurred recently. You see, it appears a local dog misinterpreted our "a two" for the price of 20 sign as an invitation to, well, mark his territory in both ways, right into our dish. What a mess. To make matters worse, an unwitting passerby, unaware of the dog's actions, sampled the dish. His reaction was swift and severe, leading to a rather unpleasant display of rejection. We assure you, our food hygiene standards are second to none, and this was a one-off incident. Our heart goes out to the poor gentleman who had this unfortunate experience. We've since taken additional precautions to ensure such a situation never recurs. Now, It's time to wash our hands, shake off the shock and get back to the joy of baking. The first step in creating our sandcastle cake is preparing the batter. To set the stage, preheat your oven to 180 degrees Celsius or 160 degrees Celsius with a fan and grease and line your castle-shaped cake mold or round cake tins. Now let's dive into the mix. In a medium bowl, sift together the plain flour, baking powder and a pinch of salt. Next, we'll cream the softened butter and caster sugar in a large mixing bowl until it's light and fluffy. This should take about 2 to 3 minutes with an electric mixer. Then, it's time to incorporate our wet ingredients. Add your eggs one at a time, making sure to mix well after each addition. Stir in the melted Biscoff spread and the vanilla extract until smooth. Lastly, we'll marry the wet and dry ingredients. Gradually add your dry mixture to the butter mixture, alternating with whole milk. Be sure to mix until just combined so we don't overwork the batter. With our batter ready, it's time to bake. Off to the oven we go. Before we proceed to the baking, allow me to pull back the curtain and reveal an unforgettable tale from a past event that happened in the dimly lit dining hall of Hauver's Place. This story revolves around an ill-fated dinner, a touch of comic catastrophe and chaos that ended up being anything but ordinary. The dinner was a grand affair hosted by the beautiful Yvonne Boland. If you're wondering why I'm bringing up the memory of this night, the answer is simple. It was a night that witnessed the infamous event involving Miss Belpum's sister, the ever-charming Hauve, her bright-eyed children, and a lucky or perhaps unlucky group of 13 guests. The air was filled with laughter and banter, as the guests were indulging in light-hearted conversations, completely oblivious of the disaster that was about to unfold. The event took a turn for the worse when a spoiled milk and egg mixture, a key ingredient for the dessert that night, was discovered. It was an exquisite dish, planned to be the star of the evening, a dessert that was supposed to be the talk of the town. Instead, it metamorphosed into a culinary nightmare. The milk and egg blend, the base for the dessert, had curdled into a lumpy, sour mess. The shock, the absolute horror that the sight of a curdled dessert mixture can instill in a cook is something that only a true food connoisseur can understand. As everyone was trying to come to terms with the tragedy of the dessert, another calamity struck. A treasured plushie belonging to Hauve's youngest child, a favourite toy that was as much a part of the family as any living member, suffered a massive tear. The plushie's skin open, revealing the cotton stuffing within. The sight was heart-wrenching. The child's wails filled the room, echoing the emotions of everyone present. And then, as if the evening hadn't been disastrous enough, the hot chocolate machine, a beloved appliance in Hauve's kitchen, decided to throw a tantrum of its own. With a sudden spark and a loud bang, it erupted. Hot chocolate spewed everywhere, creating an abstract art masterpiece on the kitchen walls. But amidst all this chaos and confusion, the spotlight was stolen by an unexpected character. Pole, the male polar bear. He wasn't a guest, nor was he a part of the culinary team. Pole was a plushie, a beloved companion of Hauve's eldest child. He sat in a corner of the room, usually unnoticed, but that night he was at the heart of the spectacle. Overwhelmed by the unfolding disaster, he gave way to his emotions, his plushy skin tore and his beads fell all over the floor, a shower of glittering droplets that shimmered under the room's light. It was a sight to behold. Now you might be questioning why I'm narrating this story, especially when we are about to embark on a culinary journey of our own. The reason is simple. This story serves as a potent reminder that accidents happen in the kitchen. But remember this, my friend, fear not. Every mistake, every misstep is a learning opportunity, a chance to grow and improve. And today we're going to use these lessons to that our sandcastle cake is a resounding success, unlike that unfortunate dinner. Let's get back to baking, shall we? Now it's time to transform our batter into a delicious, fluffy cake. Pour the batter evenly into your prepared tins or castle mold. Then place it in the oven, which should be preheated to 180 degrees Celsius. Bake the cake for about 35 to 40 minutes. You'll know it's ready when a skewer inserted into the centre comes out clean. Once baked, let the cakes cool in the tins for around 10 minutes, then transfer them to a wire rack to cool completely. With our cake cooled, we're ready to move on to the next exciting part, the Biscoff buttercream. Our sandcastle wouldn't be complete without the rich, creamy Biscoff buttercream. So let's get started. First off, we're taking our softened butter and beating it until it's creamy and smooth. This is the foundation of our buttercream, so be sure to give it all the love and attention it deserves. Once it's just right, we're gradually introducing the icing sugar, 1 cup at a time, ensuring we mix well between each addition. This is where we start to see the beautiful, fluffy texture of our buttercream taking shape. Now it's time for the star of the show, the Biscoff spread. We're adding this into our buttercream along with a touch of milk. We'll beat this until it's fluffy and fully combined. If you find the consistency is too thick, don't hesitate to add a splash more milk. With our buttercream ready, it's finally time to assemble our sandcastle. The moment we've all been waiting for, assembling and decorating our sandcastle cake. First, we're going to layer and shape our cake. If you've used round tins, trim the tops for even layers. Spread a generous layer of our luscious Biscoff buttercream between each layer. Stack them up to form the castle shape, or if you're using a castle mold cake, you're already 1 step ahead. Next, cover the entire cake with a thin crumb coat of buttercream. This will help seal in any loose crumbs and provides a smooth base for our decoration. Pop your cake in the fridge for about 30 minutes to let the crumb coat set. Now, let's bring our sandcastle to life. Spread a thick layer of Biscoff buttercream over the chilled cake. Then comes the fun part, creating our sandy texture. Gently press the crushed digestive and Biscoff biscuits into the frosting. The result? An impressively realistic sandy castle. But what's a castle without its flag? Roll the red sugar sheet or fondant into a small flag shape, attach it to the wooden skewer and proudly plant it atop your castle. For those who want to add a little extra flair, consider adorning your castle with edible sugar shells or candy decorations for a beachy vibe. And there you have it, a beautiful, delicious sandcastle Biscoff cake with a sugar red flag. Now let's cut a slice and enjoy. The best part of baking a cake. Enjoying a slice, of course. Now carefully cut the Sandcastle Biscoff cake into 12 generous slices, ensuring each guest gets a taste of this delightful creation. As you savour the sweet, biscuity flavours, consider pairing your slice with a refreshing iced coffee. The robust bitterness of the coffee complements the cake's sweetness, making for a heavenly combination. Thank you for joining me on this baking adventure. I hope you enjoyed making this Sandcastle Biscoff cake as much as I did. Until next time, happy baking!